Okay, so let's work out our respiratory quotients for each of these. Well, we did this one. This is basically 1, like 0.88, 0.89, got 0.59 divided by 0.66. Again, a CO2 on the top, O2 on the bottom. If you do this the wrong way around, if you did 0.66 divided by 0.59, you're going to get a number bigger than 1, or actually you get this one came out slightly higher than 1, which is actually slightly confusing. 0.89 divided by 0.88. I mean, it's ever so slightly over 1. Typically, carbohydrates, like this is the highest you can get as far as A-level bar. I mean, I don't know if this is slightly over 1, which actually slightly confused me. But if you get a number that's any bigger than 1, you just have to take stock for a second. So I've forgotten what that was already. It was 0.9, wasn't it? Because it's going to be proteins. 0.59 divided by 0.66. So if you do your denominator the other way around, you're going to get a number that's bigger than 1, and then that's reason to double check that, make sure you've done your fraction the right way up. So 0.89. So this is protein. 1.01 divided by 1.47 is 0.69. This is fats or lipids. Okay, so I mean, they can obviously respire a combination of these things. 0.7 is typically lipids, and 0.9 is typically proteins, and 1 is carbohydrates. So they're quite close to what the classic numbers will be in the ultimate guide lesson. Let's switch over to a black pen. So we've got mainly protein. Let's just check the names are in the same order. If they'd flipped these round, I would have been in trouble there. And then this guy is like mainly lipids. I'm going to put RQ equals 1 point. I didn't write it down because I'm an idiot. The RQ equals 0.89. I'm going to just calculate this to 2dp as well. So I'm going to have to do this again. 0.89 divided by 0.88. 1.01. Okay, similarities. They're both joined by 1,4 glycosidic bonds. Both polymers. Both formed from hexose molecules. Difference is that chitin contains nitrogen. Glycogen does not. Both contain basically the oxygens are on the same side each time, which is not the case with beta glucose. Okay, so it repeats then. So they're both okay, so a difference is that this is not branched. There's no branching going on here. This repeats is what this N means here. So the difference is glycogen is branched. And chitin is not. So they're both joined by, I'm just going to take this out of here because the branching, we could say they contains 1,6 glycosidic bonds. So they both contain, they both have 1,4. I'm going to call them linkages. Similarity number 2. I want to say that the hexoses are in the same orientation. I'm going to put oxygen on the top. Okay, and then moving on, outline the process involving the generation of ATP through chemiosmosis. So let's talk about the electron transport chain. So when he's saying electrons flow along the electron transport chain, ETC, which releases energy that pumps protons from the matrix of the mitochondria into the intermembrane space, forming a proton gradient. Say protons fuse. Diffuse down the electrochemical gradient through ATP synthase, which joins to form ATP. We can say the protons join with water and electrons. So self-check on this one, definitely. Electrons flow along the electron transport chain, ETC, which releases energy that, just tidying up my readability a bit there, pumps protons from the matrix of the mitochondria into the intermembrane space, forming a proton gradient. Protons diffuse down the electrochemical gradient through ATP synthase, which joins ADP and P-inorganic phosphate to form ATP. Protons join with electrons to form from the electron transport chain. And oxygen, the final electron acceptor, to form water. Oh, is there any more in there? We could talk about electron carrier proteins, maybe, along the electron transport chain through in a series of redox reactions, which releases energy that pumps protons from the matrix of the mitochondria into the intermembrane space, forming a proton gradient. Protons diffuse down the electrochemical gradient through ATP in synthase, which joins ADP and PI to form in ATP. I mean, I've started with the electrons. Maybe we should say that the coenzymes are reduced coenzymes are oxidized to release the electrons in the first place. Okay, so I'm going to make this a double. I'm going to put one right in here. It's 6 marks, so I mean, I'm not doing a very good job of laying my answer out nicely. So we can say NADH and FADH are oxidized to release electrons that flow along the electron transport chain, ETC, through electron carrier proteins in a series of redox reactions, which releases energy that pumps protons from the matrix of the mitochondria into the intermembrane space, forming a proton gradient. Protons diffuse down the electrochemical gradient through ATP synthase, which joins ADP and inorganic phosphate to form ATP. Hydrogen ions join with electrons from the electron transport chain and oxygen, the final electron acceptor, to form water, which is released as a byproduct, but I don't think that's that needed. I'm excited to see the answer to this. Again, you're going to give a perfect answer to this question about chemiosmosis.
To get more biology videos from me, subscribe to the channel, and of course don't forget to try out my complete A-level course in the free trial over on the Tailored Tutors website. Up next, you can transform your grade in about an hour with my grade transformations playlist, or you can watch the video that's been magically selected for you from the people at YouTube.